The following conversation was recorded prior to the actors' strike.
What's the baby?
Baby Yoda.
Couldn't have been nicer.
Oh, yeah,
Couldn't
because
have been
he's
nicer.
got a rep. He's got a rep,
So,
but no, he's
as
cool.
soon as I showed up, he asked if I would sign a headshot for him, and I just thought this guy's class because he's blowing right now. He's having a moment,
Right.
and he still was just
Yeah.
he was cool.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, sad, confused begins now.
Today on Happy, Sad, Confused, I'm Josh Horowitz. We've got another first-timer on the show. I have a feeling he thinks he's on Conan O'Brien's podcast, but we're just going to roll with it today. He's a great actor, yet he seems pretty well adjusted. He has great hair, but he hides it under a hat in half his roles. Basically, he's a big old contradiction. I'm thrilled to welcome the star of two new series, Full Circle on Max and Justified Primeval City on FX. It's the one and only Timothy Olyphant.
Josh, how are you? That was a lovely introduction. I appreciate that, and pleasure being on your show.
So far, let's not get cocky, right? There's a lot to talk about. First of all, I should say, in case people are watching this and there's a sad strike going on, we taped this prior to the madness. I mean, maybe we should tape different permutations. Do we tape the version like, oh, hey, it all got resolved, and hey, oh, hey, we're in the middle of a horrible strike?
Yeah. Either way, it's bullshit.
It's bad news either way, basically.
It's just bullshit. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Fingers crossed that we're when this comes out and all got resolved in a way that benefits hundreds of thousands of actors.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not worried about the other group.
They're doing okay. They'll be fine.
I think they're going to be fine.
I'm not worried about Mr. Netflix or et cetera, but that's another conversation. We haven't had a lot of Timothys on the show. On the Mount Rushmore of Timothys, I feel like it's you. It's, what is it? We got Hutton, we got Dalton, we got Chalamet.
Those are very good ones. It's
a nice.
I got to spend an evening with the Hutton. I was doing a play in New York, and that he came to, and a couple of us went out for drinks afterwards, and it was a memorable evening. And goes on the list of things I didn't see coming. Having a drink with Timothy Hutton, pretty cool.
Yeah. Part of my childhood, I remember Ordinary People, Turk 182. Right. Does anybody remember that movie? Do you remember that? No one remembers that movie.
Well, not until you said it. It did. That wasn't the one that popped up, but yeah. And beautiful girls. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's not. I mean, yeah, because he had what a career he's had. I mean, just incredible.
Should we just spend the next 45 minutes talking about Timothy Hutton's career?
Is he Taps?
Yeah, he's one of 12 amazing stars that came out of Taps.
Exactly. Amazing.
Yeah. How do you feel about Chalamet being part of the group? Because technically he's kind of more of a Timothée. He's kind of the French version. He's not a hardcore Timothy.
Didn't notice that. Different spelling. Good for him. You know what? Lovely work he's doing. So he's doing lovely work, that guy. Just came right out of the gates. I'm always impressed when someone comes right out of the gates with lovely work. Just goes right, boom, here we go.
Did it feel that way for you? You were kind of
no.
I wouldn't say a late bloomer, but like late 20s is when it happened.
Steady. No, I didn't. I'm one of the lucky ones. Nothing happened overnight. It was a long, kind of slow. I got lucky.
How many next big thing articles have there been about Timothy Chalamet, about you, Timothy Olyphant?
I don't remember any.
Career?
I mean, really? Not that I pay attention to him, but none come to mind. No, I didn't have one of those careers.
So looking back, does it feel like this was the way to go? Like, could you have handled success at 25?
I'll tell you this. I do remember when going to the Sundance Film Festival in 1999 for Go.
Yep.
And all of us, the cast, everybody in the cast, after that thing screened, we were like, we're going to be huge.
This is it. We did it.
I mean, it was huge. That was like a rock star screening. And of course, months later, it came in, it went to the theaters, it came and went, and nothing happened. But there were a lot of articles about how the cast was like the next Brat Pack. It was like the next group.
Well, and to be fair, it just didn't happen immediately. But
no, it didn't happen. No,
cast,
thank God it didn't. But it didn't. So that's the one time I do remember a sense of like, oh, we're all about to blow up.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on starting there now, but since we're talking about it, I was just talking about Doug Liman with Emily Blunt the other day, who I'm always endlessly fascinated by. I've chatted with him a bunch over the years. I mean, he's a madman. Let's be clear.
Endlessly fascinated about both of them.
Did that movie feel as chaotic behind the scenes as the electricity on camera? Because Doug is notorious for creating a very
there was
a lot of
no, there were moments where you're like, you're in the scene and you're like, Doug, that's my foot. You're standing on my foot, like, because he's shooting, and I hadn't really seen that, and literally from that time, it's the only time I worked with a director who also shot, who also was an operator, until
Soderbergh, probably, right?
Soderbergh, and God, I don't get tired of saying that.
But
so I'd never seen it before, and there was he is there was also where he'd say, okay, great, we're moving on, and like, well, but we haven't finished the scene, and he's like, oh, did we not finish the scene? It had a lot of that, but it was fantastic energy. I think really half of the battle is just having a set where you feel creative, where you feel comfortable taking risks and being relaxed, and he creates a really great energy on his sets, and it's somewhat chaotic, but somehow it's I loved it. I can just tell you, I loved it. I loved working with him, and I'm still hoping that another opportunity to work with him again comes along.
Just be careful. He's planning to take Tom Cruise into space. I don't know if you want Doug Liman in charge of your space travel.
The two of them in space.
Can you imagine?
That's some strong company.
That's a lot. It's a lot of energy in outside the atmosphere. Since you connected it to Soderbergh, let's start there. I watched all Full Circle. I devoured it. I am endlessly fascinated by that gentleman. He's been on the pod a couple times. As smart as they come, he can do it all.
Yeah.
That must be, look, I mean, you've been doing this a bit, but like to still get the call to be a part of a Soderbergh project where he's directing all 6 hours must be a gas, must be a thrill.
It was a thrill, and didn't disappoint. It was a thrill from the jump. I mean, just getting a phone call that he wants to have a conversation was a thrill. I would have been happy with just that. It was just great to talk with him for 45 minutes to an hour. I'm a huge fan of his work, and he's one of those guys. Anytime I'm working with an actor who's worked with him, I'll say, what was that like? What was it like for you? And tell me what he's like. Tell me. And, I love collecting those stories about the people that you've admired and respected over the years. And we talked for 45 minutes, and he said to me at some point after a long conversation about the work, he asked me, so what's it gonna take to kind of get you over the finish line? And I said, Stephen, you've been misinformed. I was like,
when I walked in the room, I was
like, I don't know what you thought was happening here, but I mean, I can do the sexy indifference if you want it, but I said I'm in, and I was already So and then the next time I saw him was on the set. We started shooting. I walked in and I met Claire, and we started shooting within minutes. And
well, that's the thing about him, isn't it? He's like so quick in every conceivable way. He's infamous. He's talked about this with me and others about like having a cut of his films like the day he's done shooting. Like he's editing as he goes, and
he'll edit the scene that night.
Are you watching stuff? Is that helpful for you? Do you watch any cuts or no?
I didn't watch anything. I mean, I'm a fan of. I shouldn't say I'm a fan. There's certain jobs I do watch playback, or I ask to see things. All the Justified throughout that series and stuff, I would watch playback or not necessarily playback, but I want to see things. Sometimes I want to see cuts, but I'm part of the conversation, so it helps. And Yeah, it's just I'm wearing a different hat on that thing.
Right, you're an executive producer on it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, and even when I wasn't, I acted like one. So, I just got involved, Yeah, much to their chagrin. Um, they don't just give you the title in the beginning. There's precedent. And I said, well, okay, as long as they know, I'm going to get involved. So where on this one, it's a different beast, and he doesn't, he's doing it. He's a big proponent of, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. I hired you because I like your thing. So you just do that and I'll be over here. It's really, which I know in general, that's what it's supposed to be, but that's never what it is. There's always a mix, a blend of.
Well, do you ever not like being quote unquote directed? Like to it sounds like he's kind of hands off. He's cast the right roles.
I thought I liked being directed until I wasn't, and then I realized,
like,
what the fuck am I worried? I don't want direction. This is amazing. I'm embarrassed how much I thought I needed someone to say after the word cut, to say something along the lines of, that was great.
Right.
Wonderful. You get used to that being the next thing, right?
Right. Great job. Moving on.
That was wonderful. Or even, that was wonderful. Let's do it again on this one, blah, 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 blah. But it always starts with like, oh, thanks. And on this, it would be cut. And then it would be just silence. And he'd say, all right, let's go again. And then you just do it again. And then you might do 2 or 3. And then he'd say, okay, next shot. And off we'd go. And I was like, oh, okay. So next shot means wonderful.
That's the code.
That's the language. That's the vocabulary. And there were a lot of exchange of looks. There was a lot of nods.
Right.
I'd look over and he'd give me a little nod, That was it.
This could be a sign of emotional maturity for yourself that you've come to. Maybe at 35, at 30, maybe you would actively need that to fill the hole. But now you can fill your own hole.
I guess let's hope there has been a little growth. It's amazing how quickly you adapt to, like, okay, so this is the language. This is the new vocabulary. Yeah, I remember a couple weeks in, someone was doing a scene. I come out and get in the car and drive around the block, and I came around the block and they said, Stephen has a note for you. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. And then he said, I need you to hang up the phone before you get in the car.
So practical.
I was like, that's the fucking note? Come on, man. I was really excited.
Cast the right actor.
Once we were in a car together, and it was just me and him, and all my dialogue is over the phone. So he and I are just in the car together, and I finish a take and I look back and I go, what do you think? And he says, if that was a 7, maybe a 9. And I said, 9 coming up. Let's go.
It's kind of all you need, right?
That's the note I got. 3 months. Yeah. That was good.
So coming around to the other exciting project that a lot of people are going to be very excited about, because of course Justified has become this beloved series, and it's been a minute since you played Raylan. I don't know if you always expected to come back to the character, if that was in the cards, but it must be thrilling and exciting to get this opportunity and put him in a different context.
I had mentioned it as we were going out, as I said, I think we should wrap up the show. I recall also saying, but hey, may we get the band back together in a couple of years. That was always in the back of my mind. It was on the table when we were calling it quits.
A couple of exciting aspects of this. I'm about halfway through the new series. Well, let's talk about the other Olyphant, the important Olyphant, really.
Yeah,
I should say.
I'm using her laptop to speak to you now.
I noticed Vivian came up on the Zoom first.
That's just her way of getting press. So she's trying to get press.
Relentless.
She's like, here, Dad, take my laptop.
This is her.
Get her name out there. She's got her eye on the prize. This one.
That's right. There can only be one Olyphant at a time, and she has her eyes of taking you out.
I mean, there's already 4 or 5 Timothys, so you know what I mean. They're
take out Charlemagne next.
Getting invaded on both sides.
So this is her, at least on-camera acting debut. As I understand it, your poor daughter had to audition for this. What kind of father are you, Timothy?
Well, I mean, any good, decent father knows that was the right thing to do. Make the kid audition. Yeah, look, we saw this coming. My wife and I, look, we used to take, when the kids were young, that we did the family videos. She's the youngest of three. She was the only one that wanted to see playback. So we're like, oh, I see where this is going.
Right.
She's always had interest in doing it. She did school plays, and we didn't allow her to do anything. We didn't allow her to work. But she had expressed interest years ago, wanting to work. And we thought there's too many downsides there. So, and she slowly shifted to her interest to singing, songwriting. She has an album coming out. I think she's got a single being coming out today or tomorrow. Yeah. So off she went to college to pursue singing and songwriting at the promoting the school. She did 1 year, Berklee College of Music. And
Nice.
Anyway, we were talking about this. My wife and I were talking about we were going to shoot the show over the summer, and we were trying to figure out Vivian would probably come live with us, and we were thinking about what she's going to be doing over the summer. She'd expressed interest in maybe taking some acting classes, and she would sort of started bubbling back up the idea of maybe doing a little bit of incorporating that into her studies. And then my wife said, isn't there a role in the show for like a daughter? And I was like, what do you think? She's like, why not? I mean, let her try. And she is 18, 19 at the time. So we're like, so we brought it up to her. I said, look, there's this role. First, I brought it up to the guy. I brought it up to the dinner and Andron. I said, look, I'm going to say this out loud just to hear out sounds, and you guys can
call me out if it sounds like a horrible idea.
It's going to cringe. I know it's going to, I'm prepping you, prefacing this with, I know what I'm about to say is going to, but I just need to say it out loud because I hadn't mentioned it to her yet. But I said, there's a chance my daughter could do this. And they're like, great. And I was like, I could hear it already. They were like, fuck. I said, look, I'm not. They said, yeah, have her read and send it into Cami, send it into the casting director. So anyway, we called, sorry, this is long-winded, but we called Vivian. We said, look, there is this role and you would audition. And I said, she's like, I want to do it. And I said, well, just take a second because you're going to be living with us for the summer no matter what, right? And if you don't get it, I just want you to take a minute to think of that, right? Because whatever that's going to feel, you'll probably meet the actors who got the role. But I said, they're thinning, it's getting down to like they're getting ready to cast that job. I also knew selfishly it's hard role to cast. And with all due respect to young actors, oftentimes they're very actory and it's tough to get. I started late, and I just remember even showing up at acting school, acting classes, people that had been acting for a long time. It's invariable, the bad habits, the tricks that have sunk in that are like, ooh, you got to try to race those,
the instinct to do more. Yeah,
to do more, they know kind of what, the way they direct kids is to do these little things that are adorable and whatever. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, forgive me. I'm going on. And anyway, she was like, I want to audition. So, she I gave her the scenes. I asked her, like, do you want me to tell you what I would do? You want to do your own thing? You let me know how you want to do it? And she's like, I know I've watched, I got it. Anyway, the audition, I read off camera with her. She worked really hard just for like 4 or 5 days. She was willing to do like, let's go one more. And I was like, wow, this is, anyway, we sent it in and right away I started getting texts, like right away from dinner, from Andrew, like, your daughter's audition's like really fucking good. And I was like, I told you guys I had a feeling.
Must be so satisfying to, as you know, the face of this and an EP, to that. Now forget your own performance, to see the dailies and to see the cuts and to see your daughter, and this must be,
it was so special. As I said to them, I said, look, I will tell you this. I wouldn't have mentioned this opportunity to her if I didn't think she could handle it.
Yeah.
Now in the back of my mind, she's still the kid who insisted on going to tennis camp, and then the night before said, I'm not going. Right. And I thought to myself, is that still a possibility here? Right, because that's going to be really tough on. I was like, you can't do that, right? You can't like night before say, no, I'm not fucking doing it.
Right.
But I said to them, like, I wouldn't have given her wouldn't have mentioned this opportunity if I didn't think she could handle it. And working on her audition, like just doing the off camera, I was like, she's really good. She worked hard. I was like, I would love working with her. Like, I realized as I was reading these scenes with her, I was like, if this is what she's going to bring every day to set, this is a really fun actor to work with. But I said that, and that's it. I won't say any more. I was like, you guys, your call, I'm out of it. It's uncomfortable for everybody involved. Okay. I'll make the one other thing, which is like a week or two goes by and there's no word. And Vivian keeps going like, what's going on? And I said, well, Viv, I'm an executive producer. I'm on all the casting emails and I know who are like the other 8 actresses that are being considered. And I'm not hearing anything. No one's asked like me to even look at another. So I think you're the front runner, but they're not worried about losing you to another job like a lot of other actors, right? Where they have to.
Right.
So I said, it's just going to take a while, because there's no other, it's not like, oh, we better hire her or we're going to lose her to this other show. And she says, well, can your agent get me another show so they have to make a decision?
That's great. Like, bidding. Let's get some tension, some bidding war.
And I was like, wow, Vivian.
Yeah, she's smart.
I was like, Vivian, we've created a monster here. I was like, you get this. I was like, man, I didn't understand that, I think, until my 30s. What's going on here?
Got a head start.
Anyway, that's it. Enough about her.
No, yeah, enough. No, she's excellent, as are you, sir.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Listeners to Happy, Sad, Confused, I know if you're like me, you've confronted some pivotal moments in your life, professional and personal, moments where you feel like you're at a crossroads, where you don't know which way to turn, where you certainly need help. That's why BetterHelp is such an important sponsor of Happy, Sad, Confused. Whatever issues you're dealing with, therapy can help you map out your future and trust yourself to find the way forward. I've used therapy in the past. It's helped me. There is no stigma, as far as I'm concerned, anymore attached to therapy, nor should there be, because we all need help at pivotal times in our lives. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's designed to be flexible and designed to be suited to your busy schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/HSC to get 10% off your first month right now. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/HSC.
Another person, an unsung hero, not necessarily a part of this production, but as I understand it, Quentin Tarantino could be credited a little bit with getting this combo happening. Was this born on the set of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
There was a day on the set on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I knew he'd watched our show, and I obviously knew he was a huge Elmore Leonard fan. Elmore Leonard was a huge influence on him as first book he ever bought. I think he stole a paperback of Elmore Leonard. I maybe the first he bought, but anyway, I knew that going in. So one day we were, he and I shooting the shit, and I said, listen, I got an idea. I want to just run by you. And I told him the premise. I was like, everybody wants to do it a season. There's a lot of talk, but it's hard to get that spark of what that season is going to be. And I said, there's, City Primeval, is potentially available. And I was like, I had this idea of like, what if we just took a book like that and we just stripped it for parts, used the bones and used it as the beginning of the conversation. And he was like, that's a great fucking idea. He was just very excited.
Quentin excited about, no, that doesn't sound like him. Yeah.
Right. Well, he knew the book inside and out. Sure. He was at one point was going to make that book a film. He had optioned the rights years ago. So he had lots of ideas and thoughts about what that should have been, the movie. But he was very enthusiastic of like, that's, and it put some wind in my sails to say, hey, at least to go to the guys and say, look, let's do this. Let's move this. This is, just gave me confidence in the premise. So that meant a lot. And then, and then he almost directed, his.
What happened there? What was the story? He was going to direct a couple episodes. Oh,
we were drinking margaritas, and I told him, I was getting ready to, a couple of months we're gonna, he was asking about something about an actor who was in Justified, and I was like, it's funny talking about this because we're getting ready to do this reincarnation of it. And he's like, what were you talking about? And I said, yeah, we're doing it. The thing I told you. He said, get the fuck out. And I said, yeah. He goes, when are you doing it? And I said, in a couple of months. He's like, could I direct that? I was like, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
I could put in a good word, but
I was like, are you fucking crazy? Anyway, so he read the scripts. He's like, I said, you can't direct the first one. That's already been, Michael Dinner's got dibs on that. And so I said, maybe you want to read them. And so he read them and he's like, I want to do the fourth one. I was like, all right. He's like, can I read some more? I was like, okay. And then he said he wanted to do the seventh one. And then, so yeah, it went from, it was wonderful. I mean, we were all very excited. And then his wife was pregnant with their second baby, and that was that.
Is there talk?
that was like, sorry, I can't leave Israel when my wife's having a child to go direct your show. And so,
as far as sadly, excuses go, that's a good one. Yeah,
it was a hard one to argue. So and he's so it's a good sign for him and his kids. And
yes,
apparently he's taking fatherhood seriously.
Though he does have one more film in him. Have you read The Movie Critic? Is there a part for Timothy in that one?
If there is, I will be there. But I know nothing. I know nothing.
Okay. But, and if and when another Justified season, because it sounds like you have eyes on more, hopefully, there's open invitation to Quentin, I assume.
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, it seems like a no-brainer to bring it up to him. Try to be early. Like, look, you got any kids planned? Because hey,
can we work around the schedule this time?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Look, he's God bless him. He's marching to the beat of his own drum. So who knows what he's going to do next? But those conversations were very meaningful and mean a lot to me to just even be shooting the shit with him about anything, let alone a collaboration. Those are very special conversations, and they meant a lot. And he was wonderful about, he allowed me to pick his ear on casting and everything. So it was really fun.
I will say in your collaboration with him on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in a film filled with iconic scenes, one of my favorites, if not my favorite, is the scene where Leo just can't keep it together, preceding his breakdown. And I watched it again last night. I watched it many times.
So special.
What I love, I mean, on your side, you have to be 1,000% locked in, or else his breakdown doesn't work. And I'm always just like endlessly fascinated by like how like locked in you are, and that contrast is what makes it work.
It's so easy to do because the scene is, first of all, obviously so well written, and everybody knows that when a scene's well written, it makes the acting super easy. That's the first thing. Not only that, the camera, the way Quentin's moving, the way he shoots is so beautiful. You're so aware of how, I mean, it's just such a work of art, how he sets up the shots. The shots are so specific. So everything feels that Soderbergh similar. You feel like, oh, this counts. Everything counts. There's no like, we're going to shoot a master, then we're going to punch in, then we're going to punch in, and then we're going to punch in one more time, and then we'll see later what we're going to use. No, it's like, this is the shot. So there's two things going for me right off the bat that make it super easy. And then the third thing is I'm just sitting there looking at Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm like, this reminds me so much of Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, you can't help when there's, I haven't had a lot of experience sitting across from an enormous movie star. And he's an enormous movie star. I've watched, like everybody, countless movies. And he has an intensity to him. And as much as I'm aware, I appreciated his performances and that intensity, when you're sitting across from it, I found myself mesmerized by it. And I couldn't help but think, like, this is just like that movie, The Aviator. Like, it looks like his head's going to explode any minute. And I'm like completely not in quote unquote in character. I'm just me
just enjoying the show.
It's like, check this out. Like, this is what I've been watching all these years. And it's really intense.
Yeah.
Like, there's an intensity there. And I literally were rolling. I'm like, God, do you ever do this? I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I've ever done this. Like, would I be willing to go that far? Look at it. He's about to explode. Like, I think his veins are going to pop out of his fucking forehead, this guy. Like, it's so easy. It's just easy. Don't tell Leo I said that. By the way,
you kept your cool. He couldn't detect it.
He's got enough going for him. He doesn't need me kissing his ass. But that's what that experience is like. You're just sitting there mesmerized by these two giants.
Yeah.
And just taking it all in. And, I'm just, I show up. I've been doing TV my life. Is it one more take? Let's go. I don't know. It was a good day. It was good times on that set. Very special.
Another special scene of yours I rewatched for the first time in many years. You have one of the great, I would call, double deaths in horror movie history in Scream. Mickey dies not once, but twice. And it is a great, like, he's dead, but wait, here he comes again.
There's a moment. Yeah. That's what you pay for in those movies. I've forgotten that. So. Very kind, by the way, Josh. I appreciate all that.
Yeah.
Daughter's computer's not on silent. That's bullshit. Do you hear that, or just me?
I don't. We can edit it out. Don't worry about it.
Okay, go ahead. Now that's money. People love that.
That's real stuff.
Do I remember it? Oh my God, I totally remember that day. I mean, that whole movie was like overwhelming and exciting. And that's back that's early. That's me just trying to keep my head above water and pretend like I'm not freaking out inside. That was quite a job. They gave me I don't know. I was still maybe lying on my resume when I got that gig. I hadn't really done a lot.
Right.
And, audition at least twice or maybe more to get the gig, and huge opportunity, and then showed up, and everybody on that set was people I'd been watching, on television and film. Liev Schreiber made quite an impression because I was like, this guy's a real deal. Laurie Metcalf, incredible. I mean, and then, just everybody involved were, it was big. And then I remember that day, I swear this is how it worked. I was doing off camera for a while in the big finale, and we were shooting all of Jerry O'Connell stuff and Nev stuff, and now we're getting ready to turn around. We have a half, break, and he, Wes comes up to me and says, we really haven't talked about this, this last scene. He's like, I'm not, I'm not sure what you're doing off camera. I like. I was like, okay, it's good for talking about it now then, because I think we can move, we're gonna be ready. We're setting up here in a couple minutes. But I remember him saying like, you know, this killer in that movie, we don't really want to do that, or this famous killer kind of performance in that, we don't really want to do that. We want to go like in this direction. And I was like, I just was like freaking out. I was like, oh shit, like, I don't know. I just remember being so intense and feeling like I got to get this right.
But he seemed like a very sweet, soft-spoken man for the crazy stuff he was making.
Such a sweet guy. But when you're starting out, like what I just described, what he said, if he said that now, it's just all fun and games, right?
Sure. That's like your second movie too.
He's super relaxed, but I would be super relaxed, and so we'd just be shooting the shit. Like, I heard what you did. I saw what you did there off camera. I'm not sure I love it, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm not sure that was working for me. I'd just be fine. But I remember then being like, holy crap, like I'm fucking up here. I remember, there's a pressure and intensity that you're trying so hard to mask. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but it was quite a memorable experience. And he was lovely, and everybody involved was great. He was great. And I do remember him having that, if I said something like, I'm not sure, I like that. He said that was a good take, and I remember saying, well, there's this one moment I feel like I might have kind of had a bit of a hitch there. He goes, we cut to the knife there. Don't worry about that.
We're in a horror movie. We can cut to the knife. Yeah.
We just cut to the knife.
I don't know if you feel the strange cosmic connection in the universe that you have to Vin Diesel, but it's out there, Tim. It's unlikely. I wouldn't have bet on it, but if you do your research, Hitman was meant for him. You took that. Lore has it, Fast and the Furious was meant for you. There's an alternate universe where you are Dominic Toretto on your 10th movie. I don't know. Do you think the Fast movies would still be going if you had accepted that role in the first Fast movie?
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that no, they would not. No, I haven't seen those movies, but they're enough so part of the culture that I know what they are.
Right.
And it feels like part of what makes that he is he's just unlike anything else out there, right?
This is true. That is fair.
I remember thinking, I can't make this work. I was like, what am I doing? Why would I be in this? At the time,
right?
But he seems like they got the right guy. But look,
so
I felt the same thing when I was doing Hitman, and I was getting paid. So fuck, who knows?
There are, if you'll indulge me, I'm always fascinated by the roads not traveled for certain actors. Those would-be's, could-be's. The lore has it. There are two that stand out to me. There is
for me.
For you, there is Star Trek, which I'm guessing was I'm guessing was for Captain Kirk, because I could, as great as Chris Pine is, I could see you being a hell of a Captain Kirk. And there's also the old IMDb thing that has lingered that says you were in the mix for Iron Man. Do you remember either of those?
So I do. I'm always trepidation. I've talked about this in the past, and then sometimes I'm like, you should have never talked about this. Nobody feels good about that you were gonna be it or should have been it or whatever. But I guess it is what showbiz. There's countless of these stories. Here's what I can tell you about Star Trek. I went in and auditioned for, I think, like, not for Captain Kirk, but I remember reading with J.J. Abrams, and I loved. He's just a lovely, lovely guy, and just a lovely audition process. And somewhere in there, he was like, maybe I was auditioned for Doc or something. He's like, I already got a guy for Doc, so I don't need you for that. But I don't have a Kirk. So there was a I don't know. Here's what I'll tell you. Somewhere along the line, they're like, I got a guy. I believe it was one of those things where it's like, he might have been prepared to hire me, but they wanted somebody younger, and he was having a hard time finding somebody younger. And somewhere along the line, JJ called and said, I found a guy younger who's really good. And I was like, and I have since then met Chris Pine, and I am a huge fan of him, both on and off screen. I love that guy. He is a good dude. If he's listening to your podcast, and let's hope so.
He's a veteran. He's been on a couple of times. Yeah.
I've had this sounds very show businessy, but I had the honor, we're going to say honor, to go to the Golden Globes one year.
Back when it was cool. Yeah.
And that's right. They're not even a thing anymore. What are they? So I don't know if they're cool, but we were there, and I spent most of the evening at the bar with Chris Pine, and I just really adored him. What a good guy. And I really like his work. He's one of those guys makes it look simple and easy. So
they just directed his first movie. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No, thanks for the call. Was there not a part in there for me?
Guess the drinks weren't as meaningful to you as they were to me. Golden Globe night.
Quickly the actor's mind. See how quickly it just comes right back to.
Gotta text somebody. Wait, are any reshoots?
Fucking what the hell? 1 minute it was about Chris, and then boom, back to me quick. So that's that. I do, and auditioning sucks, and the fact that I remember the audition process fondly says a lot about J.J. Abrams and what a good dude, and what just a wonderful man guy is.
And Iron Man, anything real to that?
I will also tell you, Iron Man, Jon Favreau, what a classy, great guy. I've spent time with him socially. I've now worked with him. What a wonderful guy. And maybe I don't know. I mean, some of those I would have happily suited up for him. And I'm thrilled that I got a chance to work with him again on
you did suit up in a way. Just took a little, exactly.
Oh no, that guy set me up. I just showed up for one episode and I got a toy for it. I mean, that's kind of it's like, how do you do that?
When you got cast in that, was it necessary to go back to like source material? Like, do you read Aftermath, or are you just working off of the stuff they give you, like the scripts?
The Star Wars thing?
Yeah.
The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I was just worked on the material in front of me. I mean, John called up and said, we have this thing, and obviously he thought of me for it and thought it might be a nice fit. And we got together and just he's just a very wonderful, generous collaborator. What do you think? Will you want to change it? What would you do different? How do you want to do it here? You've been, I mean, quite frankly, he said what, we probably shouldn't admit, which is like, you've played this role before. So, I mean, any thoughts? Go ahead.
Right.
So we, tinkered with it and tweaked it, and we had a ball with it. And then just showed up. You put on the armor, it does all the work.
Well, I don't know about that. Does that armor is that as cool to wear as it looks, or is it as uncomfortable to wear as it looks?
No, it's pretty good. Yeah, that pack's got a little weight to it, maybe. But listen, there's nothing better than listening to an actor bitch. But I'm gonna
tell me the toughest part about being in Star Wars, Timothy.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you something. Mark Hamill had to fly to Morocco to shoot that stuff. I drove down to Manhattan Beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Drove down to Manhattan Beach, and most of it was in air conditioned studio. And so, we've come a long way. So it was a piece of cake and a ball to work with. And Yoda, he could, what's it, the baby?
Baby Yoda.
Couldn't have been nicer.
Oh, Yeah,
Couldn't have
because
been nicer.
he's got a rep. He's got a rep, but no, he's
As
cool.
soon as I showed up, he asked if I would sign a headshot for him, and I just thought, this guy's class, because he's blowing right now. He's having a moment,
Right.
and he still was just
Yeah.
he was cool. So yeah, that was it was a good gig.
Do you know your future? I know you can't say anything, but like Dave Filoni has announced this big like mashup of all the characters and the universes in a film. Is there a hope on your part that Cobb shows up in that?
I'm going to be the lead.
There's our exclusive. Thanks, buddy.
This is yeah. Sorry, this is
really didn't bury it. You went right to it. You went
called Sad, Happy, and Holy Shit. Yeah. I think that's the plan, but no, I don't. If I knew anything, it wouldn't be. They're very. They keep those secrets seriously over there.
They do. Do you think, as we wrap up, do you think the yeses in your career are more meaningful or the nos? Are the stuff you said no to more impactful, or the stuff you said yes to? If you take stock,
I'm going to lean towards no's. No's are more important in life in general than the yeses, for sure. I think the no's mean a lot more. And I think I got lucky with some of the failures. Like I think I dodged some bullets not getting jobs that I thought I wanted. The yeses didn't. Persistence was more important, I think. Meaning, right? Like, because I have a lot of bad work, along the way, or shitty projects, or I've seen stuff that I was in where I'm like, what are you doing, dude? It was like, you're not even trying. You're in show business. And jobs where I just shouldn't have been in them. I was just, embarrassingly miscast. And you think if you're there and they cast you, it's because you're right for it. But of course, that's not right at all. You gotta know, like, no, I can't do this. Is not right for me. I don't care if they think it is. They don't care. You can go to the movies, you go watch TV, you see people miscast all the time. So it's like, it really falls on the actor's shoulders to figure out where they fit. And it took me a long time to kind of find that, like, oh, here's where it works. I haven't felt like I've been miscast in years, but there was a stretch where it's like, you're figuring it out where you fit, and so my point being is the yeses, that didn't matter. I think the no's or the, like, that made a difference, because some of the ones, like one of the ones you mentioned earlier, I think if I had said yes, that might have turned me upside down pretty quick. The success of it might have been really bad for me.
Right. Well, the proof is in the pudding of, like, the projects we're talking about today, the opportunity to do Justified, to come back.
I got lucky. I got to hang around. What I mean? There's all kinds of different, and maybe there's like 3 or 4 different types of careers, but I got to hang around, and hanging around is half of it, is because if you can figure yourself out. And I never had to deal with like overwhelming success. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I honestly don't. It's like, it's not healthy.
I know we're over time. I'm gonna let you go on some rapid fire
stuff.
You
can edit a lot of the babbling out.
I love the babble.
Babbling out.
I love it. The Happy Sad Confused profoundly random questionnaire. Timothy, do you collect anything?
No. I mean, art, I guess.
Okay.
That sounds pretentious as soon as I said it. Let's go back to no.
What's the wallpaper on your phone?
Oh, fuck. It's going to be also pretentious. It's a drawing by an artist. Is it terrible? I'm going to forget the artist's name.
It's
a really cool drawing. I'm happy to show it to you. And someone will.
Okay.
How do you do the thing where you just get this thing? There, see?
This thing on the side. There you go.
Hang on. Can we get it there? See that?
Yeah.
Drawing?
Well, it's like a. There's a toe. Yeah, there's some toes. Okay. Yeah.
He's a really wonderful artist. It's terrible that I blank on people's names.
That's okay. So
anyway, I like that drawing.
Last actor you were mistaken for.
Oh, it's always Duhamel.
Yeah, Josh Duhamel.
Duhamel.
Yeah.
God love him. By the way, he texted me the other day and said, "You know, I did my Christmas card." First of all, I told this story before, and we're over time, and I'm still like,
I got nowhere to go. It's all good.
So you know, he did my Christmas card.
Oh, what do you mean? You guys switched Christmas cards or something? What?
The family was out. This is years ago. We were all out, and I'd never met him, but I'm always being mistaken for him. And I know through friends that he's being mistaken for me.
Right.
And we're out, the family, and they say, "Hey, Josh Duhamel's here." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, I've never met him. We've never officially met. So we meet, we're talking, hanging out, and the family's there. And I realize this is an opportunity. And so I asked him if he'd do it. He said, absolutely. So he put his arms around my wife, my kids cuddled up next to him, and we took a family photo.
Aww.
And we sent it out as our holiday card.
I love it.
And my mom put it on the fridge. My brother came in one day to the house and she's like, "Don't they all look great?" And he says, "Mom, you know that's not Tim, right?" She's like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "That's not Tim. That's an actor named Josh Duhamel." And she said, "I thought he seemed taller." My own mother. I've told it before. He texted me the other day and said he was at a baseball game in Minnesota and they were doing celebrity lookalikes with fans in the crowd. And he said, "Those fuckers put your face up on the screen and then cut to me in the crowd."
I mean,
I think they knew they were fucking with him, but pretty good. He enjoyed it. So there you go.
Okay. Happy, sad, confused. Actor who makes you happy, always.
Meryl Streep.
Movie that makes you sad.
Chariots of Fire.
Oh, good. The music alone. Food that makes you confused.
I don't even know if it makes me sad, but I went to an emotion. Is that really a sad?
Well,
yeah. Is it a sad? I'm a sucker for that film.
It brings it up. I can see it. Yeah. At the end. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
And finally, a food that makes you confused.
Confused.
Yeah. You don't get it. You see it on the menu. What's the deal with that?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ending strong.
How much time do we have? I'm just going to blurt something that makes me confused.
Yeah, it could be like I've had nominations of tempura, burritos,
Burritos make people confused?
Emily Blunt said that, and I disagreed. Thank you. I don't get it, but whatever.
Did we not say earlier? Was it Emily Blunt and
Doug Liman?
Doug Liman, and you said you were endlessly fascinated by him, and I said endlessly fascinated by them both.
You did.
This is the reason. Because that fucking burrito answer is like, what the hell's happening in there, woman?
Okay, focus on you. What do you got? So what confuses you? What's your controversial food take?
Right back to me. Broccolini.
Oh, broccoli's fine, but it's the stringy, when it gets all.
Well, they just keep wanting, they give you more than you want to, you don't want to eat the stem, but they keep putting those stems down. Yeah. So it makes me a little like, it's just always a moment where I'm like, we only want to eat the tops, right? Why do we always give so much? It has to be cooked really nice, perfectly to eat those stems, but they always include like really long stems with the broccolini.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets me a little confused because I feel like that's a lot of green I'm leaving on the plate.
Yeah. Pearls of Wisdom from Tim Olyphant. Congratulations, sir. You've made it through your first episode of Happy, Sad, Confused, hopefully the first of many. I will remind the folks out there.
I've given you enough for two. Let's be honest.
This is going to be a mini series. Full Circle is on Max. It's fantastic, an amazing ensemble. Claire Danes, Tim, Dennis Quaid, the list goes on. Steven Soderbergh, Ed Solomon writing. What more do you want?
Yep, really good. Hey, you're going deep. I like it.
Justified, Primeval City, fantastic. For those that haven't caught up on the Justified train, it's never too late. This is an iconic character in a new circumstance. It's excellent as always, and hopefully we'll see more of it, maybe with Quentin one day, not to be too greedy.
Well, you talk to him. Tell me what he says.
Okay.
Josh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate the time. Thanks, buddy.
You as well. Take it easy.
Have a good one.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.